So I've been using the Pixel 6 Pro for about 7 months now, and I'm not talking use it when it first comes out and then come back 6 months later. I'm talking daily driver, day in and day out, pretty much every day for 7 months. So first off, if you've been following any news about the Pixel 6 Pro through the past few months, you've probably seen stories of how bugs, issues, people asking when the next update is to fix their Pixel phones. Well, I would take all those stories, videos, or blogs with a grain of salt, because not only has this been the best phone I've used in a while, I've had one issue in the past 7 months. One. The phone shut off out of nowhere and I couldn't get it to come back on, so I plugged it in for a while and it finally came back on. And the battery was fine on it. It's not like it was almost dead or anything like that. Luckily, I haven't had that issue since. So I don't know if those people complaining are in a small percentage of the overall users, but that wouldn't surprise me. I don't know about you, but it feels like it's always the people that have had a negative experience with a product that you're gonna hear about more than the people that have had a positive experience or something that people buy and they're satisfied with it. They just don't go out of their way to say, hey, this is a great product. Unless they really love it, then maybe you'll hear something. Now, when it comes to the battery life, believe it or not, I think this phone has only died by the end of the day, maybe once, at least in my usage. Getting over 11.5 hours in my battery drain test pretty much says this phone's gonna last a long time. Definitely one of the better phones out there when it comes to battery life. And of course, everyone's gonna use their phones differently, so there's so many variables when it comes to battery life. But for me, yeah, battery life on this thing's really good. Sure, maybe a little bit less than when I first bought it, but not by much. Now, I think all of us can agree how good the cameras are on Pixel phones. Surprisingly, even shooting some B-roll with this phone for some of my videos turned out actually better than I expected. And of course, taking photos with this phone, super easy, just a matter of point and shoot, pick which mode you want, and it almost always looks great, even when it's zoomed in, surprisingly. This is easiest, one of the best when it comes to cameras on a cell phone. I still feel like Google does Android software probably the best out of most companies for the most part. I can't really think of too much I don't like about the software on this Pixel 6 Pro. Again, I'm sure it's going to depend on which apps you're using, what types of stuff you're going to be doing on your phone, but so far I'm really enjoying just about everything about this phone. And it's really nice when telemarketers are calling and Google answers for me, but they usually just hang up. Downside is it also blocks my parents from time to time when they try to call me from their landline. And then it still has the issue where if I call someone, I have to minimize the phone app, or I can switch which side of my face I'm using it so it doesn't accidentally mute myself while I'm talking to someone. To me, it seems like that could be fixed pretty easily in a software update. Maybe just move where the mute button is. If you're switching from OnePlus or Samsung to a Pixel phone, there is going to be a little bit of a learning curve since things are in a little bit different location and they handle stuff slightly different. But once you get used to it, it's really nice to use. I noticed some people have said the new Tensor processor isn't as good as, say, Samsung or some of the other flagships out there because of Geekbench testing and other tests like that, but it makes me wonder if they're actually using this phone. To me, it feels plenty fast enough. Doesn't really feel that much different than other flagship phones that I've tested, but I know that's going to be personal preference. I just know for me, the software on Pixel phones are really nice. I just tried Apex Legends Mobile recently that came out, and yeah, it plays really nice and smooth on here. I'm not sure if I'll play this more than PUBG Mobile, but yeah, it seems pretty good so far. I think most people will enjoy playing games on the 6.7-inch screen on here, 1440 by 3120 resolution. It's nice and large, so it's going to be easy on the eyes for just about anything you'll be watching, playing games, browsing online. Everything looks nice and sharp. But having said that, I still feel like I prefer a flat screen over curved. Luckily, this one's pretty subtle and better than other curved screens I've used. Okay, so a couple things I don't like about this phone is when you want to change Wi-Fi or just turning Wi-Fi on and off, picking which connection you want to use. I feel like it's a couple steps back compared to older Android software. I mean, to wait for the connections to load is just sort of slow in my opinion. It makes me wonder if they actually tested this out or they just changed it to say, hey, this is new. Come on, Google, please change this back to how it used to be, or just make it so it's more user friendly. Oh, and when it comes to the fingerprint scanner, it is better than what it used to be. Still not as smooth or as fast as some other phones I've used. Not a huge deal breaker, but that's just one small thing. The other thing I wasn't really expecting, but having a phone with a larger screen like this, it does feel a tad bit heavy after a while. I remember back when phones kept getting bigger and bigger and I got the OnePlus 7 Pro, I was like, wow, this thing's heavy. Well, this one's heavier than that. And then when I go back to my Galaxy S21 Plus, just to use it for a little bit, it just feels a lot lighter than the Pixel 6 Pro, and it's got the flat screen. Other than that, this is probably going to be my favorite phone that I've used so far. We'll see if that holds true by the end of the year. But yeah, for now, I'm really liking this phone. It's pretty easy to recommend this, unless you're wanting to wait for the Pixel 7, 7 Pro to be released later this year. But that's always a problem when buying a cell phone in between cycles. It's like, do I buy now or do I wait? But yeah, now I'm pretty anxious to try out the Pixel 7, Pixel 7 Pro to see how it compares. So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.